going to talk about something so simple
yet so complicated.
and I guess today's topic is complicated.
Yeah,
It's
it
kind of
really is.
it's
It's painful.
it's painful.
It's hard. It's one of those things that it's really hard to do.
Yes,
And
yes, it's always a decision that is very hard to make, and knowing that there are people out there who did it out of not goodwill. I mean,
I don't think
it's egoistic, in my opinion.
egoistic is the easiest way to say it. The nicest way to say
Yeah.
it. This is something that it's really hard to do. It's really hard to even think about for most people. I don't understand why would someone like do it, and yeah.
Well, I guess we will tell you already what the topic is, and
If you haven't read it, down below.
yeah, and today's topic is basically putting your pets to sleep. Will you do it?
Why would you?
Why would you do it? Yeah.
What
Is
is it necessary?
Yeah.
And if it's necessary, would you do it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a very hard topic for me personally, because I am a dog owner, and seeing what has happened these past 3 weeks, I guess, because I think it happened 3 weeks ago. I'm not that sure, but basically there is this couple on YouTube that put their dog to sleep, and my personal opinion is that, as we said, the easiest way to say it is from the egoistic point of view, because they shared that this decision came at basically the right time, because they were about to move and the dog was hard to be moved, and yeah, that sentence there just
It kills everything, basically. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, the moment you just said it, my heart just stopped. I mean, like, this is your pet. It's not just a pet.
the dog has lived with them for 9 years. I mean, and they are trying to put the blame on the dog for being a bull terrier. I mean,
It's
very
not
hard.
the breed. It's not
Yes,
the breed.
yes.
It's the way you teach a dog. I mean, if you have taught it well, it will behave well. If you have paid any attention to it, and if you have taught tricks, things, and how it is supposed to, like how, if you have given them a good example, they would have been like.
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
I personally think that no breed is a bad breed. It all comes down to the owner. Yeah, and basically what hurt me the most was them trying to put the blame on the dog. I mean, and it didn't work out, because they were talking how as when the dog was little, it got attacked by another dog. So that's one thing that you have to work with a trainer to
overcome it. Yeah.
to overcome it. Yeah, and they didn't do anything about it. The dog had some issues feeling territorial with its food. I mean, that's another thing that has to be worked out with a trainer, and they didn't do anything, and they are trying to blame the dog for being a bull terrier, meaning the breed is prone to having these kinds of.
Bull terriers are not that.
Yes, my point exactly. But they are trying to paint the dog as they are trying to paint the situation as if they did everything in their power, and the dog was just too aggressive, and it attacked their little child, and actually the dog wasn't even to blame in the situation, because it was eating, and the child took from its food, and it didn't
If you
even.
know your dog is territorial with food, why would you let your child near the
Of
dog
course.
or near the food while it's eating?
Well, of course, my point exactly. And
It's not the child to blame. Sorry, I'm sorry to say it. It's not the child to blame.
neither
It's
the
neither
dog.
the dog. It's the owners.
Yes.
And the fact that they didn't even train it, they didn't even try. Did they? I don't know. Maybe they tried. Okay, I'm not familiar with the situation. Maybe they did try, but it's not something that cannot be changed.
Yes, and it's something that needs time. I mean, it's not something that's going to change from today till tomorrow. Tomorrow the dog is going to be new. It's not going to have any of these issues. It needs time. It really needs time, and
it's proper training.
yes,
Exactly. But I don't. In this situation, I don't think that it was right for them to not just euthanize the dog, but to also blame it on the dog, because you don't leave a dog or a pet, even a cat, even a rabbit, whatever
the animal is.
you have.
If it's a pet that you have, it's like your child.
Exactly.
It needs caring. It needs training.
It needs good examples, actually.
Yes.
If you don't give your dog good examples, you cannot, like... I do agree to some extent that it has its own personality.
Yes, but it's not something that cannot be changed.
Exactly. And you cannot just blame it on the...
And even as
Ooh,
they...
I got mad.
Yeah, and even as they are trying to blame it on the dog, it's not working, because the more examples they give, the more
it makes them look bad themselves.
Yes, because you know that it has been attacked as a little one. You know that it's territorial with food, and at least from I have watched it, they never say that they have tried to work this out with a trainer. And the moment they said that this came at a right time because of the move, that was just it for me. I mean, and
you shouldn't put your dog or your animal, your pet, to sleep because you're moving.
yes, and
give them a chance. Like, try to find a family that can actually give the animal the proper help, the proper training, the proper things that the animal needs.
yes,
Like giving them a second chance. Well, basically, you cannot just kill it off because, kill it. It is killing. Whatever we say,
yeah,
it is killing. It's the humanitarian way, but still, it's death.
yeah.
And you cannot just kill it because you're moving and you're afraid that this and this and this and this will happen. It actually is proven that your fears
Project over the animal. Yeah.
over the animal, and the animal will become this way because you, to some extent, you yourself project onto it.
Yeah.
Intentionally or unintentionally. But I don't think that this was the right situation to put your dog to sleep. This was, as if you're saying that they actually blame the breed.
Yeah,
It's so wrong. It is just not.
They're trying to blame it on the breed, and that's just so wrong.
So what, you can tell me that pit bulls, because we do know that a lot of people use them for dog fighting and everything. You can say that, oh, it's a pit bull, it's bad. No, it's not bad. I love pit bulls. Pit bulls are the sweetest, most gentle things. But they have been trained to be this way. I'm sorry, but small dogs, I know you love Mikey, but he can be more dangerous than a big breed dog.
Yes, because he is kind of aggressive, and I'm still trying to figure out and find someone who will help me train him, but
The problem is that nobody wants to.
nobody
Oh,
wants
but
to
this
because when they hear the breed, because he is a Chihuahua, and when they hear the breed and how old he is, the only reaction I have gotten from trainers, which I have reached out to, is the dog is too old to be trained now. You cannot change his behavior because he's too old. And I'm like, but no, you're wrong. Every living thing, whether it's a dog or a cat or even humans, as long as you live, you are learning.
That's true.
You can change, and it hurts me a lot because actually my dog, when he was little, he was the sweetest thing, and the change in his behavior started when I went off to college or university. I went to university, and basically because he was more attached to me, the fact that I was gone 5 days a week, or sometimes I was coming home once a month or 2 times a month, and only for 3 days. I mean, that dog in the span of 9 months basically was staying just at home. He became asocial because the 3 days that I come home and take him out on walks, it's not enough for him to stay socialized. And when I came back, whatever I did, he just started barking on people. And when they ask me if he bites, I am inclined to say yes, in order to not have to explain the situation, because it's easier. I mean, if I see someone who is a stranger on the street and he asks me if my dog barks, bites, in order for him to pet him, it's more easier for me to tell him yes, as opposed to starting to explain that it depends
how you approach him, what you do, how he feels like at the moment, what the vibe the other person gives, because the vibe is also important.
Yes. And I'm trying to find solutions, but the thought never even crossed my mind to put him to sleep just because it's more convenient.
Oh, this is so painful. I mean, don't get me wrong. Please don't understand me wrong. I would put a pet animal to sleep, but only that there is a huge but. If the animal is suffering,
yes,
to the extent that it actually, it's all on its own, it's suffering so bad that it actually pains me to see it hurting so bad. This is the only situation. I mean, if it's irreversible. If it's reversible,
yes,
I would try and find painkillers, because I'm sure that there are painkillers, and try and help this animal. But if it's irreversible, this is the only situation that an animal should be put to sleep, because what we said, and it's true, your pet animal is your kid, is your child. Yes, you didn't give birth to it, but you grew up with it. You watched it grow up in front of you, and it became part of you, your family, your heart, you basically, and you'd never kill a child.
Never. I mean, we have.
It's the same thing.
Yes, of course. We've had a dog. It was my mother's brother's dog. Yes, it was his dog, but the dog lived in our house on the first floor, and my grandfather basically took care of the dog, and for I think it was 3 or 4 years, the dog was just suffering. He was every time he went out he was blood was coming out of him. I mean, and it was painful to watch. And as time passed and as he got older,
Things gotten worse.
yes, he had to go 3, 4, 5 times at a day just so blood can come out of him. And it was painful to watch. And when my grandfather got sick and he couldn't take care of the dog, and none of us could too, because we were always out. I mean, I had a job. My mother and father, they have a job as well, and we're not at home. We leave at 8 in the morning and we come back at 5:30. And no one could take care of the dog, and we put it to sleep. But it was the better solution for the dog, because the dog was suffering and we were suffering as well, because there wasn't anything to be done.
When you feel this helpless, basically, that you're not able to help an animal with anything, I mean, there's no pills, no
Nothing could have been done. Yes,
no anything. And
we took him to doctors, multiple doctors, and all of them just said that this problem can't be solved. And so it was either the dog being miserable until the time came for it to go by itself, or for us to put it out of its misery. And I personally think that in that situation,
yeah,
the decision was better, in order for the dog not to suffer, because it was just suffering and being miserable, and us suffering as well, because we couldn't help him.
Yeah.
And yeah.
In these kinds of situations, it's difficult. It's one of the most difficult things that ever could have happened. But in these kinds of situations, yes, you're putting the dog out of its misery, and it has suffered enough. I mean,
yes, as I've told you, it was 3 or 4 years of suffering. Yeah.
And it was the best thing to do. It is the best thing. But in that situation, because the dog is on its own, it's suffering, it's being miserable, and you're helpless. There is nothing that neither the vets nor you can do. And I do agree, in this situation, it should have been done. And you guys did the right thing.
Yeah. The thing that bothers me actually is that when it happened, I didn't know. I found out 2 days after it was done, because
Why?
well, I was having my daily routine. I mean, I went to my job, got home, went out with you, and I just didn't stop down to see the dog. Yeah. And on the 3rd day, I went down to see my grandfather, and yeah, it just occurred to me that I haven't seen the dog anywhere in the house, and I just asked my grandfather, where's the dog yet? And he told me, well, we put him to sleep 3 days ago. And I was like, why didn't anyone tell me? I mean, I didn't know how exactly to feel in that situation, because
How do you feel in that situation?
yeah, I guess they didn't tell me because they knew, because they know that I am attached to animals and I really love them. And even if I haven't seen him, that doesn't mean I don't love him.
That's true.
And I guess we can say they didn't tell me in order to protect me in some kind of way, but I still don't think the way I realized that the dog was gone was the best way to realize it. And even my mother, she loves all animals, but she she just doesn't want a pet because she feels as though she is imprisoning the pet, because she feels like that animals are free spirited and they have to be outside. And so even she, with her point of view, she was there, she was the one with the vet when they put the dog to sleep. And she and that kills me even more, because I've had so many signs to figure out something had happened, because the first person that I asked why didn't they tell me was my father, and he was like, but didn't you notice your mother has been crying for the past 2 days? And I was like, well, no, I haven't seen her. And so again, I mean, I've had so many signs to figure it out, and I didn't, and I feel bad about it, because I feel as though I didn't pay any attention, when I don't think that I should feel guilty, because I don't know, I don't even know how to explain it. I don't think there is any explanation which is going to make me feel better about myself, but
it's not about making you feel better. It's whatever you have done, whether you have noticed earlier or have not noticed, there is nothing basically that you could have done.
Well, yes.
I mean,
That's
yeah,
true.
you could have been like the moral support, but I'm sure that you were anyway, so.
Well, me being gone isn't much of a moral support, because I was out, and
It's, I don't know,
I really, as we've said, there are some situations in which it is the better option for both the owner and the dog, but in the situation that we described in the beginning,
that's not the way.
that's not the way. And
You
here comes the question: if there aren't any struggles, why would you put the dog to sleep? Or the cat, or any kind of pet? Why would you put it to sleep?
You do remember my pet rabbit?
Yeah.
When we found it, when other people found it and gave it to us, it had, until its last day, it had a crooked neck.
Yeah.
Because someone dropped him out of the, I don't know how many stores, how high he got dropped by, but we took him to the vet, and the vet asked if it is going to survive, it is going to be like okay, it might need some medicine until like its last day. Would you like to put it to sleep? It's like small animal, you wouldn't care. And I'm like, no. Why would you do it if it actually has a chance? Basically because, as I said, there are people that could have taken the dog and would have given him a second chance. That it was the same way.
Yes.
Someone threw this small rabbit. Yes, it's not like a dog or a cat, but it's still like
it's a living
pet.
thing.
It's an animal, and it's you grow close to it. I do remember feeding it. It was like as big as my head. It can only be in my. Whoa.
Yeah.
I know. It was just this big. It was so small, and I fed it, and I was the one that fought so hard against it. I mean, if you can give an animal a second chance, why would you kill it? And this is exactly what I said to the vet back then, and she was like, well, that's your decision to make. That's not mine. I would put it to sleep just because I don't want to look at it because of its crooked neck. But does something have to be perfectly good looking to deserve to live?
No.
Nothing is perfectly good looking, and yet everything, like human, animal, it deserves to live.
Yes.
It deserves a second chance. You never know. If those people didn't put the dog to sleep, it might have a happy life right now.
Yes, it
As
might have
as my rabbit did.
Yeah.
I mean, it lived with us for 6 years when the doctor said that it should live no more than 3, I think 4. But it lived with us. It lived with us for so long. What would have had? It had a second chance. It was like it was like a. It's a rabbit, but in the soul of its own, I think it was a dog, because every time, I don't know why. I mean, every time he heard the door open, like the elevator door, if it's one of the neighbors, it wouldn't move. It's like, okay, fine, I hear it. But if it's someone that opens up the elevator door, if it's my mom, me, or my dad, it always stood up and started
Yeah.
doing this. So it shows love. It shows like appreciation, and I'm sure that those people's dog would have maybe gotten the best chance, the second chance that it actually deserved,
Yes.
because every living thing deserves a second chance.
Yes.
Even
I
if
think
it's
so too.
an awful human being.
Yes. And actually they did mention why they didn't consider rehoming, and it is the reason they gave was because they would be responsible if the dog does something, like, let's say, bite his new owners or something like that. They would be responsible, which, I mean,
Yeah,
the minute
I'm sorry, but they are responsible for the dog being like this in the first place.
Yes.
The first one. Second of all, they are responsible for them not trying to bring it to trainers, to bring it to people that can actually help with changing, because, oh my God, there are so many people.
Yes.
So many people that can actually help, that this is actually their living.
Yes, but my point of view is that when you give your pet to a new home, I personally think that you shouldn't be responsible to that extent. I mean, yes, you are responsible for not training it, but the minute that it goes to a new home,
you wouldn't give it to, if you ever have an animal like this, you wouldn't give it to a new home, to new people, unless you have told them the situation.
Yes.
I mean, this will be the right thing to do, to
Yes.
inform the new owners, let's say, if they have given them a second chance. You would have informed them, and they would know. And basically, what I want to say is, if they have given the dog a chance, they should have done it in the right way. They should have searched. There are even like shelters, if you want.
Yes.
There are even with people that are actually trained in this thing to do. There even are like communities. I don't think it's called communities, but it's like centers, training centers, where they do know how to do things, and they do know that how to approach each dog to make it change, to help him. But the fact that they just did they even search for such a place?
I at least I haven't heard anything.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Have they searched for such a place? Have they done their research? Have they even tried anything on their own? We do know, you do remember this Caesar Miller?
Yeah.
And he always gave the best advice on different situations. And I know I have I have this friend. He just still has a pit bull. But he didn't know how to train him in the beginning, and started to watch his videos. And he learned how to train it, and now it's a sweetheart. If they have done even that, not take him to the trainer, train yourself
Yeah.
how to train the dog.
Yes.
It's
yes.
like, okay, what? So you're gonna tell me that if they get a next dog, they're just going to watch it?
Oh, they have a second dog. It's a
Oh, yeah.
It's a Yorkie.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is even a video. I mean, you remember I told you that one of the things they said is that the dog is aggressive
Mhm.
with other dogs. There was a video how basically her husband is throwing the Yorkie at the bull terrier.
Whoa. Why would you do it? I mean, you know your dog has a trauma.
Yeah.
And why would you throw the other dog? Like, excuse me, first of all, you don't care about your first dog. Second of all, you don't care about the life of the second dog because you would throw it. So what? They'll feel good if someone throws their... Not gonna.
Yeah, basically I personally think that everything comes down to
Them.
yes,
I'm sorry,
to
but
them
it's
and them being egoistic,
Irresponsible.
and it was just more convenient for them. Their mistake for me is sharing it on the internet,
Oh yeah.
because the
Nobody
big-
would have
the-
judged them if they didn't.
Yes, you know how the problem started actually?
Mm.
The problem started because on the last day of the dog, the day that
It was euthanized. Yeah.
yeah, because they euthanized it in their home. They did a photo shoot
What?
with the dog and
Alive.
yeah, and
Okay.
and posted it on Instagram, captioning it something along the lines of basically inclining it's his last day alive. That's how the problem started. After that, they felt the need to address it because they have millions of followers, and that's how the video got on the internet, and that's how the problem blew up.
Well,
So-
good thing they have millions of followers.
I mean-
am admiring those people that follow them. I wouldn't personally because I don't think it's right.
First of all, it's not right. Second of all, I mean, how? That's why I think that it's egoistic on their part, because for me at least, if there ever comes a day that there isn't any other choice for me but to put my dog to sleep, I would never do a photo shoot in the first place and post it on Instagram to people to see that I am going to basically.
Well, they do have, at one point, let me just share my awful opinion. They do have millions of followers and they wanted to share. Maybe they thought that they were doing the good thing, the right thing, but I don't think it's okay.
I don't think it's. They posted the pictures with the thought of doing something good. I truly think they were just trying to get sympathy to make them feel better about the decision that they took, but it backfired.
But it was a healthy dog. I
Yes.
mean, there was nothing wrong with it. No irreversible illness. Why would you do it? Why won't you
Because
just give
it's
it
the
a second chance?
Because it's the convenient thing to do, and they had, and for me at least, that's why I keep saying it's egoistic, because it takes time to do the research, to try and potentially find a new home for the dog, and basically what they wanted to do is just get rid of the dog and move on with their lives.
I hope they do move on with their lives, but this is a mistake that everyone are going to judge them about. It's not just a mistake, it's just something that is going to haunt them for the rest of their lives.
Yes.
And this is like the worst example that they could have given to their child.
Of course, yes. And
this is the worst thing.
Yes.
I still do dare to say that because of their reasons for putting the dog to sleep were wrong. Nicely put, wrong.
Yeah.
The only right reason and the only acceptable reason, my opinion,
is if
it has suffering and if there's like no other choice.
Yeah, that's my opinion as well, and that's why I would like to state that everything I've said about these people is only my opinion.
Yes.
From watching videos on the topic.
Mine is just what is spoken to me, but
yeah,
still,
but still, even if you are not, I forgot the word.
Watching?
No, even if you're not
familiar.
Yeah. Even if you're not familiar with the topic, just by hearing the reasons and the thing that has been done, it's enough to form an opinion. At least, that's my point of view.
That's true. You should never. I mean, this is not. This is why there are places for, like, centers, like shelters. Just basically give the living animal a second chance.
Well, basically, I personally think, as we've said, that if it's not something that is irreversible, putting the animal to sleep should be the last option.
Exactly. If it's something that is irreversible, you should strive to change it. Strive to help it,
yes,
the animal, and if you can, of course, if you cannot, give it a second chance, and if that second chance is not an option, try and do something yourself.
Yes.
And basically just be a decent human being, and if this is a last resort, like the last resort, yeah, it's okay. It's acceptable. But if it's a last one.
Yeah.
And
I guess this concludes today's podcast, today's topic. It's very
difficult.
It's
very
yeah,
heartbreaking, actually.
Yeah.
Well, share with us your opinions, what you think. Why would you ever put your animal to sleep, your pet? Why would you do it? And did you ever had to do it? And
that's it. Yeah.
Well,
our social media will be linked down below.
As always, like, subscribe, comment.
Yes, we strive to have a positive conversation here on the internet, a positive babble, and we'll see you babblers next time. Bye!